Hey, welcome back with another video about NIO. Today was a big day for NIO and I was planning a new video on NIO for quite some time, but today I think I need to make it more quickly and just go into what happened today. As you see behind me, as I'm speaking right now, the markets are still open, so NIO is still trading. It's now up about 16%, and it was up to 30% this day, today, so there was actually already a little bit of a dip. So yes, this video is a deep look into NIO's funding situation. Once again, I will dive deep into what it means, that what has happened today of the announcement of the Hefei government possibly investing more than 10 billion renminbi, so Chinese Yuan, into NIO. And I'm also telling you like how I'm trading the stock from now on. And also, yeah, please stick to the end of the video, because I will share some insights about what does this investment of today really mean, and how can we kind of value the funding situation with NIO right now. But before I dive into that, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and also have the little bell notification that whenever I post a new video, you will get an instant notification, because, you know, just like today, it can happen very short term and, you know, not even planned. And we always try to give you the latest information on all of the stocks that we're trading, and also about the companies from China that we deeply care about. So yeah, and also in that news, thank you guys very much for more than 1,000 subscribers. I mean, that was really an amazing ride. We never thought that this would happen so quickly, so it seems that you guys are really interested in the stuff that we are doing. And if you haven't seen it yet, I lately published some more videos on what is happening here with Tesla and the Gigafactory here in Berlin. And Miriam, she also made another video on a stock that we are currently trading, which is Luckin Coffee, and I think should be up today. So you should also check that stock out if you are new to the stock market, about Chinese stocks in general. Okay, so now with any further ado, let's jump into what's happening today. And if you are new to NIO, well, NIO is an electric car maker from China. They were established in Shanghai, and it's a startup founded by Li Bin. He is a serial entrepreneur. Furthermore, he founded BitAuto and he sold it to Tencent. So if you're new to NIO entirely, please make sure to watch some of our older videos in which we also dive deeper into the value propositions of NIO, and check that out before you do any stock trading. And when we're talking about stock trading, please be aware that I am not a financial advisor, so I'm not advising you at all if you should buy or hold any or sell any stock. So all I'm sharing here is my personal investment journey. You should always do your due diligence, and you should research the stock that you are investing yourself. I can give you no financial advice whatsoever. And also, to be clear on that, I have a personal investment in NIO as well, so I'm kind of a little bit biased obviously here, but I will tell you more about my personal investment history in NIO during this video. So I did not just happen to invest in NIO because, you know, it's just some stock that I found online. No, I actually run a business which is about consulting European companies going to China. And because of that, I'm very deeply involved in the automotive sector and also doing some projects in China. So I'm visiting China like 6 times a year. And unfortunately, right now, we cannot do that because of the coronavirus. So we do most of the reporting here. But anyways, I can tell you that for NIO, I kind of did my due diligence by, for instance, riding the cars. I've been actually in touch with the NIO management when I interviewed one of their co-founders during the CES in Shanghai. So yeah, I had my personal history of getting to know and familiar with the product. And what can I say? I'm really convinced by the product. And I think NIO is a quite interesting offer. And as you may have known from previous videos that I've been doing, I'm also invested in Tesla at the same time. So I don't think that those kind of two companies are actually, you know, competitors, that you can either invest in Tesla or invest in NIO. It's my personal opinion that I think the EV revolution that is starting and is going on has room for both companies. And actually, if you think about both companies, then they are actually fundamentally different in their business model. But that's room for another video that I will do in the future. So let's quickly jump into my personal history of investing in NIO. So I actually have kind of my own startup roller coaster of investing in NIO. The first time I invested was in late 2018, where I picked up the shares. So after the IPO, and the stock price was already up, I think around $7 a share. And I bought my first shares into NIO because I was, interested in a startup just to get an idea of the company. And actually, I bought more over the time, and I witnessed NIO going up to more than $10 a share after the interview of Li Bin, the CEO and co-founder of NIO, in 60 Minutes. That was kind of the spike of the NIO share price. And then afterwards, we had this big rundown, going down to actually less than $2 a share. And I was keep on holding to my shares. Obviously, I was down maybe between 80 to 90% on my NIO stock holdings back then. But what I did is I bought up most of the shares during that time. So it was quite easy for me to bring down my cost basis for NIO by simply buying new shares when they have been beaten down below $2. So I picked up lots of very cheap NIO shares at that price. And by the end, it turned out that I ultimately built up my NIO position at around $3 cost basis. So I'm usually playing the long game. So I'm invested in a company and where I think that it could be 10x in the future. I'm usually investing to stay invested for a very long time. And that's also why the NIO shares, until that time, I've only, accumulated more and more shares. I never sold any particular stock. But then what happened was that, NIO became more and more sluggish in terms of securing the fundraising. They had a very high cash burn of around $500 million per quarter. At the same time, their cash cushion was going down and down and down. And I got really a little bit worried about, the way that the NIO management is kind of doing their earning calls. For instance, one time they even canceled the earning calls, causing the share price to drop more than 20%. And also lately, no big news on the funding and the financing situation. So what I did by the end was that in December 2019 and in the beginning of this year, I sold off a large portion of my NIO stock. Why did I do that? Because I saw that there was a lot of positive news coming in terms of by the end of the Q4 quarter and Q3 quarter, you have always nice sales numbers because that's when in the automotive world you have like the best sales numbers in general. Plus, you had NIO Day at the end of the year 2019, which has the announcement of a new car and also, this nice user-driven big event where they fill an entire stadium, and it's a really nice branding event. So I knew that this was going to affect the share price. And it did. The share price jumped more than $4 to more than $4 a share. And by that time, on the fundamental side, NIO had still not solved the problems of the cash burn and also not raising new money in. So at that time, I decided that my personal investment in NIO was too big in terms of compared to other investments that I've been doing, and also considering of how much percentage of my net worth I'm invested in NIO. So I was taking this opportunity to reduce my personal risk a bit, and I was selling down most of my NIO shares and keeping a little bit on board. But I took more than 20% of profit at that time, and that was a nice way of exiting for the first time. And I've also said during my videos that whenever NIO gets to the situation that they have new funding announced, and I want to see, a confirmation by NIO, then I would be happy and ready to go back in and invest more money and increase my stake in NIO. So in the last couple of weeks, I was first a little bit worried about the funding situation that NIO is kind of raising those small convertible bonds around $100 million each, because first of all, they are not enough for funding the NIO cash burn, and plus there are also not the big funding rounds that NIO needs, more than 1 billion US dollars would be actually a nice cash cushion for 2020, and that was nowhere near. And at the same time, NIO just didn't appear to have any options to raising those big amounts currently. But then in my last videos, I also went into how, something happened about on the Tencent side, that Tencent was increasing their numbers of shares and also their voting power. Plus, I also read some very interesting news recently of Geely, another Chinese manufacturer, having, some rumors of investing up to 300 million US dollars in NIO. At the same time, NIO went on raising more cash with those of the smaller convertible bonds. So in total, I saw that there's something cooking up, and during the last week I made 2 big transactions and I bought back some more shares. So this means I have now largely increased my NIO position again. I was buying mostly around the 3.7 US dollars a share mark, and now I'm back in with a larger stake into NIO because I'm seeing that the actual investment is coming into NIO. And I was actually thinking of making a video just about those Geely rumors and actually announcing that I'm going to buy back more shares, when today I woke up and had this news on my table that, there's those big funding rumors about Hefei, a regional government doing a deal with NIO. And by now you obviously heard about the news and you read the news that the regional government will make an investment in NIO, and the share price went crazy. Pre-market it was like 30% up, and now we're back to 15%. It seems it found a foundation here. But anyways, NIO is up enormously on this kind of news. So what does it mean? Let's jump into what today's funding news will mean for NIO. And I have actually some mixed insights about this, and I will share them with you. So for one, this announcement is something that we can relate to is official. It's not just a rumors, because we've seen images today emerge that there has been actually a signing ceremony. But well, the signing has not only been part about the funding agreement or the intent to fund something. It's also about a new production line and some further projects that the Hefei government will do together with NIO. So this announcement gives us some very fundamental and interesting news about NIO, because the Hefei government is actually trying to invest more than 10 billion renminbi, so the Chinese local currency, Chinese Yuan, into NIO. Plus, on top of that, NIO will move their headquarters to the Anhui province, to Hefei Shi, to the local city where the government will be investing that money, and they will also move some R&D capabilities over there. And this has all been, signed in the ceremony, and there have been those local government representatives on the side, so we can take this announcement very serious, even though it's just a formal, a framework for investment. NIO said that they need to still announce the particular terms of this kind of investment. So now, is this the good news that we have all been waiting for? And is it this what led me to go back into buying more NIO shares? Well, I have mixed feelings about this. So for one thing, as I mentioned before, this is just a framework and an acknowledgement. It's just some written paper that they want to make this kind of a deal. It's not the final announcement yet. The second thing is, and that's I think something that lots of people are missing out, is that this is supposed to be an investment in the Chinese local currency. So this is not US dollar investment. They're not raising more than 1 billion US dollars here. They're raising Chinese yuan. And if you're not very into China and what this all means, you need to know that the company you're possibly investing in right now is listed at the Nasdaq and is trading in US dollars. And this is also a vehicle to raise US dollars, right? And this company is actually listed at the Cayman Islands, so it's a kind of an investment vehicle for the sole purpose of being listed at the Nasdaq in the US and for raising US currency. And This vehicle can help you, can help NIO, for instance, to pay some bills overseas. For instance, they have an office in the US, of course, they have an office in Munich, and they can use US dollars in order to pay for the expenses and those kind of offices. At the same time, in China, NIO is using the local currency, RMB, which they use to, pay bills and paying their stuff. And, this new kind of funding that is coming in will be, because it's coming from a local government, it will be solely RMB funds. So that means with those kind of RMB funds, it's really, really hard to pay something overseas globally. It will not help NIO in order to, for instance, go to Europe, go to the US and increase their market share overseas. So in case you are invested in Chinese stocks in general or in NIO in particular, you should be aware of the fact that you are usually invested in such kind of vehicle companies that are listed on Nasdaq, usually are Cayman Island or Virgin Island companies, and thereby you are holding the shares in an artificial kind of holding company that is strictly separated from the Chinese entity, and thereby there is some risk attached to it that in case something is going wrong with the mother company in China, or if China as a country decides to cut themselves off from the global economy, you may be left with that Cayman Island vehicle which is trading in US dollars, and you will not have the ability to make any legal complaints towards the Chinese company. So, but leaving this kind of legal stuff beside, and if you don't know about it, you should really research it for yourself. Well, let's jump back into the funding situation. And so I think today's news has some good implications definitely on the funding side, because yes, this is supposed to be the $1 billion US dollar funding amount that NIO really, really needs. But of course, as I just outlined, it will help them just with the China side of things. Okay, now leaving all the technicals and the legal stuff aside here, but what you need to take away here is that there's a difference between NIO raising Chinese renminbi, like the local amount, or the local currency, or US dollars. Because I was actually looking at the place where they made the initial announcement here, which is Sina Weibo, it's like the Chinese Twitter in a way, where the local government made this announcement. And if you read there, you see that they're always naming the company 未来中国. So 中国 means China. So in fact, if you go here, it reads like 其他投资方对未来中国以现金方式出租人民币100亿元. So all of this investment is going into a Chinese entity, and it will be in renminbi. And so it means that this investment is not going into the company that you and I am invested in. It will be a Chinese entity in which we are not holding any shares, right? So it's important to know this difference here, and that's also a big part of the news of today. And it makes sense because it's the local government who is investing, and they obviously are not spending any US dollars, and also they want it to be a local company in China, which they possibly can also control. So I don't want to make this sound negative in a way. I just want to make you to know this kind of facts and this information, because possibly this is not reported in our Western media, because possibly most people actually don't know about it. You only read about your US dollars amount, but you need to be clear on that, it's a local Chinese investment. And this will also help NIO, and it will also help the company that we are invested in, because what I see is that most of this money will flow into investment and financing projects within China. So for instance, they can now leverage their new production, and they can now work on the new, the technical platform and infrastructure for NIO. They can use it to invest into the battery swapping infrastructure where NIO is currently leading in China. Plus, they can use it to grow in general, and also use it on some of the NIO spaces, local NIO houses that are building all over the country. So it helps them actually to make their growth case become succeeding. Now the missing puzzle here, and why I'm actually much more bullish in NIO, and why I started to invest actually last week already, before this share price spike of today and before the funding news today was announced, is that I'm actually looking more on the US dollar side of raising cash. And here we had some interesting news about Geely, a Chinese company that is manufacturing cars and that actually bought Volvo and a little stake of Daimler, the brand owner of Mercedes-Benz, is actually looking to invest $300 million US dollars. So that would be some very interesting funding news for the US dollar side of NIO here. First of all, because it's much larger than the current convertibles that NIO is raising. Plus, we also have some really interesting side effects here of the strategic side if Geely would invest in NIO. So this is currently only a rumor, but if you look deeper at it, I think personally that it would make a lot of sense. I would really love to see this kind of investment happening, because if you looked at Geely is also kind of a global player somehow. They have an office in Germany as well. Plus, they have bought Volvo, so they have even European production facilities. Plus, they're having a stake into Daimler, and they're actually trying to increase that stake in Daimler. This would help NIO a lot of having such a partner and a partner with global ambitions and a partner with European stakes being invested in NIO. That would be actually very, very exciting news. Because this would actually give NIO maybe some local production capacities here in Europe, plus some expertise with the rollout of electric cars in Europe as well. So possibly even partnering up with Volvo and Polestar rollout here. But that's just kind of a moonshot that the Polestar could even adapt some battery swapping technology from NIO. So if this would kind of happen, that would be forming a very, very big new global player here, and that's what got me to invest in NIO more in the first place. So this is only just my personal speculation, but this could have been played very, very well by Li Bin, that he just went to those new bond offering owners who give them $100 million US dollars and tell them, guys, we will have some local government funding soon in China, and thereby it will push the share price as it did today. And those kind of those kind of convertible bondholders can later on opt in to buy NIO shares at a share price of $3 US. So Li Bin, he possibly solved both pieces of the puzzle, raising Chinese local yuan, at the same time raising US dollar and making both the convertible bondholders happy and having, the Hefei government kind of playing the missing piece of the puzzle here, and at the same time with possibly Geely coming in, securing a globalization effort of NIO that we may see unfolding already this year. So now this is just like kind of how the bigger vision could look like. There's a lot of speculation involved, so take this with a with a grain of salt. So as I mentioned once before, the Chinese local government funding that we read on today is by today only a framework agreement, so it hasn't been fixed yet. We had those framework agreements in the past with the Beijing local government, Yizhuang, where they also did Yitown, where they also tried to invest this kind of amount into NIO, but ultimately it didn't happen. Still, I think today's deal sounds lots more realistic to me. And at the same time, we may have some news on the US dollar raising side, which NIO definitely needs, and which for me would actually play the bigger role, because if this matures and if this becomes true, this is a really, really powerful setup for NIO. And then for us as long-term stockholders and shareholders, we are looking at some very, very interesting years to come. So how am I trading it? As I mentioned, I have been buying last week a lot, so I have increased my position. It's considerably up already now, back from when I sold off most of my shares back then. I haven't reached my ultimate goal of how much stock I want to own, so I'm actually looking to buy more shares in the future. I'm not going to buy it today. I think today we saw this big spike, and also, the intraday rundown, which is actually still very, very volatile. So I think it might be a bad idea to chase the stock for now. I'm actually still seeing that there's lots of negative news coming, because still the coronavirus issue is not solved. The balance sheet, as for now, of NIO should look terrible. They still should have, only a couple of $100 million in funding in the bank by now. So the convertibles are currently rescuing NIO. And as long as the Chile deal is not fixed, we still see that NIO is in a cash-strapped situation. So it's nowhere looking, ideal in this perspective. So I do expect that the NIO stock will continue to stay very volatile, and I actually could imagine that with some more earning calls and announcements on sales delivery numbers in the next 2 quarters or so, we could see also that the stock will crash again and come down. So I'm still thinking that I will build my position over time and buy more in the future, maybe if it dips more at some point later on. But for now, I'm back into NIO. I more than doubled my stake once again. I'm building a larger position now, and I'm more and more confident with the latest news that we've been seeing, and with those rumors and speculations that I've just pointed out, that NIO has actually ultimately solved their funding situation. So yeah, in the future, I will tell you more about when I make new trades and how I'm looking to further increase my stake into NIO. So I hope you will follow me on this and subscribe to the channel, and please hit that bell button so you get a notification. Sometimes I'm doing a live stream as if new very important information drops. So make sure that you will get it as soon as it as I announce it. And if you like this kind of information, please give me a thumbs up, and also please comment down below what do you think about the current situation. Also let me know how you have invested in NIO, and what questions you have about my investment maybe, but also in your investment in NIO. I'm happy to answer. I'm actually going through all of the comments that you're posting. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and see you next time. Thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.